and the chairperson, Wafula Chebukati, have accused the 4 dissenting commissioners of being a part of an external attempt to interfere with the declaration of the presidential results. Appearing before the judges of the Supreme Court on Thursday, senior counsel Prof Githu Muigai argued that the move by the 4 commissioners, led by the Vice Chair, Juliana Cherera, to disown the results was an afterthought. The lawyers also argued that the commission is not about 7 commissioners, saying it is a body corporate. Surfin Achieng now has details of the defense view of the IEBC split.
Rely on its officers across the country.
Leading the team of lawyers representing the Wafula Chebukati-led faction of the electoral body, senior counsel Prof Githu Muigai demonstrated to the court what he described as an external effort to thwart the process of declaration of the presidential results.
We have an election conducted up to the 11th and a half hour, and everybody is on board. Everybody is on board. The public can see them declaring the results. What is this that happens within the half hour? There is a concerted effort, external, to ensure that the process comes to an end without a declaration. So the sanctimonious, self-righteous, pompous pontification of the so-called 4 commissioners are an afterthought.
The lawyers mounting a heavy defense of the legitimacy of the results announced by Wafula Chebukati, arguing that he did not need the approval of the commissioners before declaring the final presidential election results.
Declaration of result is done in 3 stages. The first declaration is done at the polling station. If the argument by the commissioners was correct, that the declaration requires to be approved, it would then mean that even the result that is declared at the polling station would require the consent of the commissioners. It would mean that the results declared at the constituency tallying center would require the consent or approval of the commissioners. It would mean that the results declared at the county tallying center would require the participation consent of the commissioners. That would introduce what this court has been avoiding all along, which is human interference with the process of tallying, verifying, and declaring results.
That allegation, therefore, that there was a dysfunctional commission and this led to the results not being verified is not borne. The standards have not met, and it is not the law. The commission practically will need to rely on its officers across the country in the 46,000 plus polling stations for the work of the commission, including presiding officers verifying.
With regards to the claims that the results from 27 constituencies were not tallied and verified, the IEBC lawyers submitted to the court that the results were indeed tallied and verified, but were not publicly announced due to the chaos that erupted at the National Tallying Centre moments before the declaration of the presidential results.
The affidavits clearly show that those constituencies were tallied and they were in fact verified, and that the record will clearly show that what was remaining was the announcement. And the 4-second clip will show you the environment and the fracas at the announcement podium at the point in time when Professor Gulie was to go to that podium to announce the 27 stations which had been verified.
And it cannot fall from the lips of those people who tried to stop that process to come before you and say the results of 27 constituents were not publicly announced, and yet you are the one who precipitated a situation where there was disorder, there was chaos. And this chairperson and the members of the commissions were now in fear for their lives.
Lawyer Abdikadir Mohammed, in his submission, also challenged claims that the 4 dissenting commissioners were sidelined in the tallying and verification of the presidential election results.
the Vice Chair and Mr. Wanderi attended the trip you are told about in Greece, where they went to check on the presidential ballots. The announcements were made by these good people almost 70% of the time. In other words, almost 70% of the announcements done at Bomas were done by these particular commissioners. And the tables were there for everybody to see where verification was happening. And they had no one stopping them from going to attend or direct if they wanted to direct.
Lawyers representing President-elect William Ruto have termed the events of the day as a well-orchestrated attempt to subvert the will of the people.
We respectfully submit that the aforesaid activities at the National Tallying Center on 15th of August 2022, regrettably perpetuated by emissaries, agents, supporters and sympathizers of the first petitioner, who is now before this court seeking redress. Those events and those activities amount to nothing short of a flagrant attempt to overthrow the constitution of our country, to subvert the sovereign will of the people of Kenya, contrary to Article 1 of the Constitution. It is our view that those events alone constitute nothing but an attempt to establish a government unconstitutionally, contrary to Article 3(2) of the Constitution.
The hearing of the consolidated presidential petition continues Friday, with the 7 judges expected to give their final verdict on or before